Welcome to Marvel Champions Podcast, a podcast about Marvel Champions, the card game. I am your host, Scott, and with me, as always, my co-host, Ryan.
Hey, boy.
All right, Ryan, we're still patiently waiting for Next Evolution to come out. So when this comes out, we might actually already have it.
Yep, depending on how we do the order of episodes.
Yeah, so our past future selves may already know what it is.
This is getting as confusing as the Fox Universe's X-Men timeline.
But we thought we would hit you with another Rules Corner. I was watching some gameplay, and this one came up, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I like that ruling. So this one is going to be, do you play it as you think it was intended, or do you play it as it is ruled as and doesn't feel like it kind of goes with the theme or the intent of the card?
Ooh, controversy.
Dun,
Controversy corner.
Oh, yeah. So, mine involves a little bit of jewelry. You might be asking, what kind of jewelry does this involve? Well, it's going to involve a tiny little stone. Purple.
No.
The Power Stone.
Oh, no.
All right, Ryan. The Power Stone is a encounter set, a one-card encounter set, and bonus trivia. Can you name another one-card encounter set that we have in the game?
Shoot.
I'll give you a hint. It is a newer encounter set.
Oh, no.
And ironically, it's encounter set, but it's also a hero. Well, not a hero. It's a good guy. It's a friendly character.
I was going to say Longshot.
Longshot. Ding, 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 ding. That's correct.
Nice.
Good job. There might be another one. I don't think there is. But yeah, one-card encounter sets. Throw these into anything to have some fun. All right, Power Stone. The Power Stone is an attachment. It gives the holder of the stone +1 thwart or scheme and +1 attack. It does get set up and it is permanent, so it's never going to go away. It says force response. After a hero or villain deals 3 or more damage to attached character with a single attack, attach Power Stone to the attacking hero or villain. Do you see the conundrum in this, Ryan?
After a hero or villain deals 3 or more damage to attached character with a single attack, attach Power Stone to the attacking hero or villain. What's the problem?
So the problem is
permanent.
Damage is dealt at the beginning of the whole sequence of damage. So I may deal you, or the villain may deal me 5 damage, but I may manipulate that damage before it actually gets to me to be taken as damage.
Interesting.
So I don't have to necessarily receive 3 damage, but as long as the villain is dealing 3 or more, he or she gets to take the stone back.
So the problem is if for some reason the villain deals 3 damage to us, but we prevent.
So you don't actually have to take 3 damage to get it stolen. The villain or you just has to be able to deal 3.
Yes. So what I mean is, like, we'll say Ronan. Ronan deals 3 damage to you, but you use a defense card that prevents
or you block,
from taking
right?
damage.
Or you block for 2, and you actually take 1.
Yes.
He still gets the Power Stone.
He still gets Power Stone because it says deal.
Yep. So there was a rule, like an official, ruling question back from May, and it talks about the Power Stone specifically. So it says, with the new deal/take distinction, how would cards like Power Stone, and they talk about Nebula's Ruthless, which we can quickly mention here in a second. But assuming you're not planning on errata for these and similar, because I can always deal 3 damage, but the intention of the Power Stone seems to be that the attached character needs to take 3 damage or it is stolen. This scenario came up in Nebula and the Power Stone. So it says Nebula will always deal damage from her attack, but the intent seems to be for the attack to be, or the damage to be taken. And the response was, we appreciate the question, but we are not planning to errata cards following the deal/take distinction. Unless a character or scenario would not work without the errata for both Power Stone or Ruthless, the effects of the cards can resolve so long as the character deals damage to the target, and do not depend on the target taking the damage. And just for quick reference, her Ruthless card, if you're in Hero, it says Nebula attacks you. If damage is dealt by this activation, place 1 evasion counter on Nebula's ship. So unless she somehow magically attacks for 0, you'll always have 1 evasion counter go on, because she will deal at least 1 damage.
Yeah, I mean, as regards to the Power Stone, I think the deal damage 3 or more still works. I mean, yes, that means defending against it's not going to be as effective. But that also allows you to do the same to them. That you can deal 3 damage, and even though they may have tough, you should be able to get that, right?
That was going to be the exact scenario that I was about to pose to you. Is
okay, so
even if they had a tough, you deal 3, you still get the Power Stone back, even though they didn't take any damage.
Yeah, because the tough absorbs that, so you're still dealing that damage.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess in that scenario, it still works. Though I will say that means whoever has the Power Stone, the villains are more likely to have it longer than previous iterations of playing it.
Yes, it does change the game a little bit in that aspect, because I feel like because you are able to defend or jump block, you could keep it much more frequently and for longer durations. But I don't know if I really like. I'm with the person that asked the question. I feel like the intent was to be when you actually took 3 or more damage, that's when you can have the Power Stone taken from you. But yeah, I guess it is what it is.
Wasn't there recent rule changes with the keyword permanent, where it like stays always out or something?
I mean, there was a lot of permanent. Pretty much like if a card has permanent, it pretty much gains setup. But they did this card right. They put setup on the card.
Cool. Yeah, so. I think it does change. It changed this encounter up a little bit, but I think it still overall works. But it's definitely going to have more changing of hands.
Yeah, and it got me thinking, like, what other cards out there, early champions cards, had the intent of taking versus dealing, could have a similar impact. And I haven't really, delved into those. So
yeah,
that's for another episode.
Another episode.
Oh yeah, Rules Corner.
So I've got a card for you. I don't think it's necessarily a rules question, but just maybe a thought-provoking question for different scenarios and maybe future scenarios. So I was working on a cable deck and trying to prep for next evolution here, and I came across the Psychic Manipulation. It's a 3-cost Justice card, and you have to have the Psionic trait, and it's an interrupt. It's a thwart interrupt, I should say. When the villain schemes, this activation removes threat instead of placing it. And so, first off, I discovered that Cable does not have the Psionic trait unless you get his Technovirus side scheme to the victory display.
Uh-huh.
So that was one random thing, which doesn't relate to what we're talking about, really. But just fun fact for everyone. But I was trying to think of how would, when the villain schemes, this activation removes threat, and just how we have so many different villains, and I know there are some that kind of manipulate things to affect schemes. I tried to find a scenario where somehow the villain, like, this is broken against a villain. So, like, one of my thoughts was, I think it is Ultron has his upgrade, which is +1 thwart, and then it after he thwarts, then you place, I think, a threat on something else. I don't have it pulled up in front of me. I'm not a good host.
Yeah. He adds like 1 or 2 to every side scheme. I'll get it up here. I know exactly the card you're talking about.
Yes. I almost have it up here. Programming transmitter. It says force response. After Ultron schemes, place 1 threat on each side scheme. And my initial thought was, would that card affect this? But I think this is where the designers were able to cover their own bottoms, and I think that big word of after kind of saves that Justice card from manipulating some pretty crazy scenarios.
Yeah, so that was the exact point I was going to make, is it does make a distinction of after, so the scheming step is fully resolved.
Yeah. So I tried to think, and maybe you can think of one, but I couldn't find one right away, that there's a villain that has a unique scheme situation. So another one I thought about was Risky Business. So if the Green Goblin schemes, he doesn't have a scheme, he just puts counters on.
So I don't think it would do anything.
So it wouldn't do anything. So, like, or at least this card is useless against him.
Yeah, that's completely worthless.
So I was just thinking if this card could manipulate further than just like putting threat on a scheme, if based off the scenario. But I couldn't think of a villain or a scenario that really that worked in. I don't know if you had one.
Not that is going to do anything extra, but I think it would be a fun card to pair with Turn the Tide, and it almost got like really good, except for their wording. They caught it with their wording. So Turn the Tide's a 0-cost event. It's a Justice event. It's an attack. It says response attack after your hero thwarts and removes all threat from a scheme. Deal 3 damage to an enemy. See, it's not like a hero response. And technically, with the card you just did, it's a thwart, so it meets that thwart requirement. In the psychic manipulation, you don't have to be hero to do it. That would have been nice if it was just after you thwart and remove all threat, but they do specify hero.
Yeah, that one does. And as manipulation, you don't have to be in hero, though I think Phoenix is the only character that has psionic not in hero form.
Right. Well, I mean, and to me, the card plays, it wants you to be an alter ego.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Because when else is the villain...
I guess that's a good point.
scheming? I mean, you could luck out and it's an advance. Or there's a card out there that makes them scheme, right? It's either a justice or an aggression card. The villains,
Yeah,
it's kind of like a bait and
justice
switch,
card.
but it's scheme instead of attack.
Yeah, it's a Swift Retribution.
Yeah. The Moon Knight card.
No, it doesn't have Moon Knight. It's the one with the Doom Buggy.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it was Moon Knight.
Isn't
Yeah, it's Moon Knight.
in it? Moon Knight's in the Doom Buggy?
Yeah, he's like jumping on the front of it. His white costume, he's got some guns. Pew, pew, pew. And it looks like he's like fighting G.I. Joe, like Snake Patrol guys.
Oh, no, I gotta pull it up.
Well, I mean, we did get a new one, didn't we? Didn't we get a Swift Retribution?
Yes, we did. We got an X-Men version, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's Moon Knight in the first one.
I never really looked at that card. I just saw the Doom Buggy.
Yeah,
there's Moon Knight on there.
That's Moon Knight. Moon Knight confirmed.
Moon Knight confirmed.
The next cycle after the next box.
Yeah. So now my question, there really wasn't a question in there, but just something that I saw and I thought, and I was like, I wonder if there's something else that this could like.
All right, let me look at some villains here. So we need to think of villains that do extra. Ooh. No, that wouldn't do anything. I was going to say Master Mold doesn't really. It schemes for one and then goes and fetches Sentinel.
Yeah, see, because I did a quick glance at as many as I could, and I just didn't find one that really changed things up.
Yeah, Sabretooth heals, so it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, Master Mold just fetches a Sentinel.
Because it wouldn't affect, like if let's say a side scheme or the main scheme said something like when the villain schemes put an additional threat here or something like that, it wouldn't affect it because it's not the villain, it's the side scheme that's doing that.
Yeah, and looking at a lot of villains, if they do have like an additional response or interrupt, it's usually based off of the attack. When they attack or after they attack, do XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
There really is not one that's very like thwart focused.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean we won't have one in the future, and so that card may be interesting later down the road.
You know what? I was, in a recent episode we had talked about Reed Richard, Mr. Fantastic. What character that I been like, man, that's a cool character that I guess is a newer character I've never really heard of, but have you heard of the character the Maker?
No.
So it's Reed Richards from like a different world, reality, multiverse.
Is that the Secret Wars one?
Yeah, he's just like a bad dude, and he's got that cool little helmet.
Yes, I do know who that is.
I think he'd be a schemer.
I could see that. I'm wondering if who would you say is like the scheming villain?
See, I don't know if we got one. I did see a interaction we might have that's weird. So the Wrecking Crew.
Oh, I don't know if I looked at the Wrecking Crew.
So your card says, okay, so it just removes it. It doesn't have to be the main scheme because their whole interrupt or whatever it officially is an interrupt. No, it's just a star. It just says when they would place threat, you place it on their side scheme instead of the main scheme.
And it just says in hers. I gotta pull it up.
What are you looking for?
Psychic manipulation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it just says, when the villain schemes, this activation removes threat instead of placing it.
So yeah, it just removed from the side scheme, right? For a Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, so instead of placing it on the side scheme, it would remove it from the side scheme.
Okay. I guess that's the weirdest interaction thus far, and it's not even that weird.
It's not even that great. But I mean, I think the cards just remove instead of add. And even if it had some type of interrupt or response, I don't think it would interact with that. Because even if you're thinking like Thanos, his gauntlet's going to activate, and it's going to be completely independent of, it's going to be completely independent of whether you added or removed threat.
Yeah. I will say, though, to do that card to make it, well, I was going to say to make it worth it, it's like removing threat, but it's, let's say a villain schemes and it's only 3. That means 3 threat for 3 cost isn't good, but I guess you're also preventing it. So it's almost like doubling what you're doing.
It is, yeah. It's kind of like a foil plus a thwart.
Yeah.
This card I think will get better with Psylocke because she's got some psionic cards. Plus, you could use the Justice card that lets you exhaust for a resource for a thwart event to make it a little cheaper.
Gotcha. I think.
But I think if you think about it in the way you're saying, like, if I'm preventing 3 and taking 3 off, it's like I did 6, right?
Yeah. I feel like you're kind of doubling whatever you do.
You just hope it doesn't whiff.
Yeah. Which it shouldn't if you're playing a normal villain, because they're generally going to have 1 or 2 Thor plus a boost.
And the other thing is it is an interrupt, so you can see what the card is before you play it. So
correct. Yep.
So
that was a tangent.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a right field there.
Just something that I came across, I think, when we were playing one of our games, and I was like, I wonder if there's a weird interaction. So it doesn't look like there is any at the moment that I see, but maybe down the road there will be.
No, but you're on the right track with a lot of those psionic cards. I haven't really tried them, but I think with Cable and Psylocke coming out, I'm going to be much more apt to try and build around some of that psionic keyword, where before it was just Phoenix. You really had that option.
Yeah, Phoenix has been the only one, so it'd be nice to expand it a little bit more. It'd be nice to at least have one more hero in a future one that's psionic.
Yeah, psionic's like Ariel used to be.
Yeah. Now Ariel's finally getting some more love with Angel, and we'll see how that goes. I'm expecting we're probably going to see another round of when you flip type cards. I think we might see those from another hero coming up soon.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, did we get a protection one, but Perseverance is that change form card.
Yeah. I'm guessing we'll get some once there's a hero that changes forms. Maybe our famous, I was going to say Iceman, but he kind of, once he changes, that's kind of alter ego to hero.
Yeah.
Who knows? All right, man.
All right. Good one. I think the best thing to do now is wrap it up. And I think the most important thing is to share this podcast if you enjoy it. I guess if you don't enjoy it, you could leave us a review and tell us what we can do better. Tell us, get a hold of us at marvelchampionspod@gmail.com and let us know, are you going to play Power Stone the way it was intended, or the new way where they just have to deal the damage and you get it back? And let us know your thoughts on that ruling. All right, Ryan, I think it's time to take us out. If you want to go from a chump to a champ, listen to the Marvel Champions podcast. Thanks.
See ya.